Guten Morgen, class. How was your weekend? Good? Well, that's good to hear. Now, who can give me a definition of hypercarry? Come on, guys, we already discussed it in the previous lessons. Alright, instead of repeating myself, I'm gonna tell you the story. Hope this way you will remember it this time. Once upon a time, in ancient Greece, there was a theory crafter named Plato, and he had a lot of students. Yes, believe it or not, but back in the day, listening to old man's essay for 8 hours was the most enjoyable stuff you can attend to. So one day, he was flexing with his abyss clears, when one of his students yelled, "But master, how did you do so well?" "Well, you see... Nicholas, this is because my Hutao is a hypercarry." "What is hypercarry?" "Yes, teach, what is it?" student asked. "Well," he continued, "allow me to explain. A hypercarry is a C6 level 95 star with a all-day talents crowned. See kids, it is easy for us to judge ancient people because they didn't know a lot of stuff we know today, but even then there was one man who dared to oppose Plato. His name was Diogenes. Diogenes heard this line of thought presented by Plato, and when he decided to attend one of his lessons, he made his way towards Plato, turned around, and showed the audience his C6 Raiden with unleveled 4-star artifacts that weren't even from the same set. "Behold," he said, "a hypercarry." So, this is where the story ends. Okay, kids, what can we learn from it? That's right, artifacts are playing a major role when building your character. But before we start discussing artifacts, let's dive into Genshin math beforehand, shall we? No, I don't think you need extra math class for Genshin or anything. Besides, Genshin math is so simple really, just like any other RPG math. It very well may be on 5th grade level at best, and really, how can you get confused when everything written down for you, right? Right, so Genshin's math. Give me a literal minute to explain everything about it. You start with your base, flat stats. This includes your character base stats, plus weapon stats, plus feather, plus flower, you get the idea. Everything that does not contain percentage goes in it. Then it multiplies by, well, multipliers, which includes all the stats with percentages written on plus crit damage, plus elemental damage, etc. And then you multiply or divide it by enemy's resistance. It doesn't really matter what action you will use. If, let's say, enemy has 10% resistance, you then just multiply your end number by 0.9 to keep the formula easy. And you can apply this formula even to EM damage formula. Only though in EM formula, EM will be the base and multiplier at the same time. But putting this aside, I wanted to show you this formula because this is the core. This is how damage is calculated in RPGs, in all of them, from WoW to Arknights. Flat base, multipliers, resistance. The only thing that differs from game to game is how these three components interact with one another. So, back to Genshin. In this game of the year 2023, you are usually told in the talent description from what your character scales off. And on top of that, when it comes to choosing something or building, you only have to choose between 3 artifacts: Sense, Goblet, and Circlet. There are some unusual cases like with Dory or Cookie that I've talked about on this channel before, but aside from this, building your character is pretty simple. If it's a support character and you want more support from it, then focus on the stat that this character scales off on main stat and add some AR. If this support is also capable of dealing damage, then switch Circlet to a crit rate or crit damage. For hypercarries, on-field DPS, main DPS, call them whatever you want, the situation is much easier. For them you need crit rate, crit damage circlet, elemental damage goblet, and sense with a main stat they scales off of. The only character that is an exception for that rule is Kokomi. For her you want to take HP sense, HP goblet and healing bonus circlet. Again, if you are not sure what to put on your character, then use the calculator. Link in the description. And now, moving to the actual sets, subject of today's video. Okay, if you are just starting or haven't figured out what sets do you need, then here are some recommendations. Emblem set. What can I say about it that hasn't been said before? Probably nothing. Because this is the set that you need to farm with a 100% guarantee, because this is the most versatile set in the entire game. It adds AR and increases burst damage based on your AR. Basically, if you are not sure how you want to build your sub DPS or main DPS, this is the set to go. Can't really go wrong with it, and you need to farm at least 2 sets of this masterpiece with attack or HP or AR sense, elemental damage goblet, and crit rate / crit damage circlet. Speaking of AR, the one stat that I forgot to talk about. TLDR, if your character requires 40 energy for burst, then you can just forget about AR. If you need 60 energy, then you'll need anywhere between 120 and 180 AR, depending on your team composition and your personal feel. If your character requires 80 energy and it's not in a team with Raiden Shogun, then I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Get to 100% plus AR. There is no other way around except for Noelle. She suffers a lot from sacrificing damage for AR. Next must-have set is very decent Vivi set. Yes, this set requires anima character to use, but you will have good anima support sooner or later, so better have one copy of this set for future. Aside from healers, this set also works on Kazuha, Sucrose, Wenty, even Anima MC, and the bonus that it gives is mega useful. Like, it's a whole 40% rash shred, which is a lot. I recommend having at least one full set of it with attack /AR/EM sense, anima damage /EM goblet, and crit rate circlet for all occasions. Next, 2 mandatory sets are also fairly obvious. I combine them into one category since you'd need at least one of each, and they both farmed from the same domain. Yes, I'm talking about Gilded Dreams and Deepwood Memories. For Gilded Dreams, it's pretty simple. All pieces beside Flower and Feather should be with EM on the main stat. For Deepwood Memories, however, you should have EM Attack Sense, EM Elemental Damage Goblet, and crit rate crit damage circlet. Eventually you will run a full EM character, and then you will need a Gilded Dream set. And yeah, it is slightly better than Flower of Lost Paradise since it increases damage from all the reactions, not just Dendra based. And Deepwood Memories is just universal Dendra set. So the last set you should have on your account is Desert Pavilion Chronicle. Now, this set is good for practically any hypercarry that uses normal and charge attacks as the primary source of damage, and needs to push the burst button from time to time. Yes, its 2-piece bonus won't add anything for Hydra, Pyro, physical characters, but to be honest, 18% attack or 15% elemental damage won't add much either. Its 4-piece bonus, however, is where it gets interesting, because first it adds the whole 40% damage bonus to normal and charge and plunge attacks, and then it also adds 10% attack speed to normal attacks. And these 2 buffs are practically better for Ayato, Hutao, I don't know, Fremine than any of their elemental sets can add. You can argue that Shiminawa is better, but with this thing you can just forget about ever using elemental burst while playing fully relaxed with your brain off. Plus, because of diminishing returns, 18% attack most of the time adds nothing, or like 2% of actual damage. And you practically sacrifice your energy for 10% more damage on normal and charge attacks, and minus 10% attack speed, so yeah, go figure. I recommend farming everything from the set besides the goblet. Well, you can get the goblet from the set, I would just not recommend focusing it, since you can have a good base with a flower, feather, sands and circlet from one set, and then change the goblet from any other set with a good stat on it. For the stat, go for attack HP on sand, elemental damage on goblet, and crit rate, crit damage on circlet. Okay, these covers must have artifact sets. Now let's talk about funky sets and where or how can you use it. Shiminawa usually works well on Yoimiya and Chungyun, but if you want to try hard and have other sources of amplifying attack percent rather than to be Shiminawa like Melaleaf for example, you can go for it. Melaleaf works sort of okay on Kokomi and Zhongli, but there are better options out there. Lava Walker. What if you want to have a good pyro set in the game, but Mihoyo says you already have a good pyro set in the game? Well then, you have a Lava Walker. The only thing it does, it adds 30% of pyro damage to enemies under pyro status. And the funny thing is that this set is better than dedicated pyro DPS set. Because you see, 4-piece bonus on Crimson Wish states that it adds 50% of 2-piece bonus after pressing E, and 2-piece bonus gives 15% pyro damage. So in order to at least to get to a level of Lava Walker, you will need to press E 2 times. And it lasts for a whopping 10 seconds. Oh, and also reaction damage is not worth it because it adds only 15% on Melt and Viperess, and reactions have ICDs. So if you want just a pyro set, go for Lava Walker. Crimson Witch only works on Bennett and Diluc. Golden Troop. This set is both broken and miserable at the same time. You see, right now it only works well on Furina, Nahida, if someone else has Deep Wood in your party, and yeah, Miko. It might work well on Albedo, but soon it will be 2024, come on. Who even uses Albedo anymore? And it might work on Fischl, but I said it before and I'm gonna say it again, Fischl is a 4-star character. So no matter how much copium you will inhale, she will never come close to a proper 5-star IFK elemental skill menace. But if you already have this set maxed and you want to use it on Fischl, well, fine, you can do it, but do not farm this set specifically for her, or else you might beat the world record in speedrunning disappointment emotion. Marechuse Hunter set. This is a set, it exists. Without Furina or ability to manipulate HP, this set is, well, practically worthless. But when you have Furina, the set is becoming, well, less worthless, I guess. I mean, it only gives 36% crit rate, and some may say, whoa, it's a whole 36% crit rate. Well, yeah, but it's not like you're gonna see a bigger number or anything like this. You just will be critting more frequently. Don't get me wrong, this is the good set from mathematical point of view, but who cares about it? You only want to see a bigger number, aren't you? Blizzard Strayer. Again, if you need crit rate so badly, I won't judge you. Just remember, no bigger numbers. Ocean Hued Clam. Well, if you want your healers to deal 30k physical damage every few seconds, then you know what to pick. And also it is infinitely better than Maiden Beloved. Noblesse. I mean, it works on Bennett, maybe Ember, but overall it is a worse version of an emblem. You can still farm it for Benny though. 2-piece Pale Flame, 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry. Use Desert Pavilion instead. Thundering Fury. Bison Kaching also works on Fischl, not because of the damage, but because of E reset. Archaic Petra. With this set, if you have any Geo character in your party, you can casually increase your elemental damage by 35%. 35% elemental damage, not attack percent, from a Geo support is a lot. This is why I said earlier that there are better options for Zhongli. Echoes of an Offering. This is a really funky set because it can be meh on most of the characters, but when you take C1 Fischl with a 60% attack speed, then it becomes hella funky, like DK style. Husk of Opulent Dreams. It is a great set for Geo supports that supports Geo, which is like 2 characters, but anyway, it's alright. 2-piece Waragashi Glow, 2-piece Melaleaf. Take it if you really need HP and HP only. Vermilion hereafter. Before Furina it was just a shell set. Now with Furina, this set after using Elemental Burst can give you plus 60% attack in total. I mean, with Furina this is probably beast for Shenhe, or anyone really who wants to have plus 60 attack. Heart of the Depth. Singular. Good. Alright class, we didn't talk about a lot of artifacts, but oh well, I guess they are not as important or interesting. I will go now on a date with my tall, muscly, green-haired demon chef, so bye!